What's happening, guys? We're back and we've had a last minute change of plans. All right, so we had a great episode planned out for this week. We were gonna come in here and do the interior paneling. So try our hand at some tin bashing, build some panels to fill in the holes in the tunnel, maybe get that kind of sorted out, add in some cross braces and whatnot. And I had a great plan. We were gonna take MDF and build basically bucks for it. So you can see on this guy here, it's got kind of edges around it over. So this fits up into the tubing really nice. And then my thoughts were I'd clamp a piece of aluminum on top of this and then hammer it into these edges to make a nice form-fitting aluminum panel. Unfortunately, everything went awry fairly quickly. This was the aluminum that I thought I was gonna use. This is 1/16 of an inch. There's no way I'm gonna make that bend, especially not around a wooden or MDF form. So that wasn't ever gonna work. And then the other material that I have is some of this. This is aluminum fascia, basically for like siding your house. So it's super thin and super flexible and easy to bend. You can just bend it with your fingers. So I figured I'd give that a try. It came out actually not bad. So we put that on top of there and then hammered it all the way along the edges to make that that curve. But the corners turned out like shite. And at the end of the day, this piece is so flexible that it's not gonna make a very good interior panel at all. Like you punch right through it with your elbow. So this isn't gonna work. So we're gonna have to come up with a new plan for the interior panels. I'm thinking we might do fiberglass or carbon fiber because it's what I know. And I think it'd be pretty easy to make those shapes with fiberglass. So we're gonna revisit that one later and we're gonna do something completely different. My apologies if this episode is a little disjointed because we're doing it live. We got no plan as to what we're doing. So I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back to the hood hinge. We can mount the nose cone on the car and then revisit the hood hinge, get that figured out, mount the hood on the car, and then we can probably move back here and actually mount our cowling solid so that everything's positioned correctly on the car. So first things first, we're gonna do the hood hinge. First step of that, we need to cut that old one off. All right, so it's a bit of an iterative process. You basically gotta cut a piece out of paper and then test it on the car, make sure that the swing works like it should and that you get clearance here in the swan neck and also clearance around here. And then when it's down, you gotta make sure that we have clearance here. So it took me about 3 tries, but I think this is our final piece. And then I also got another one here that is going to replace the chassis side hinge mounts. But that's pretty easy. That's just some square pieces. So let's grab some aluminum. We'll cut 4 of these out, shape them all, and cross our fingers that it works. Slight hiccup yesterday. My camera battery went dead, so you guys didn't get to watch me file and grind and sand all of the swan necks, but I figured that it was pretty self-explanatory what we were doing. I had to use pretty much every tool in my toolbox and spent about 4 hours filing in order to get the shape of these guys right. But they look good now. So we got 4 of them that are all near as makes no difference to identical. So those are going to be our swan necks. One of the things that we did do in addition to our shape that we had kind of templated out there is I drilled this hole up here. So this hole here is our pivot hole. This hole over here matches up to the pivot hole on the old hood plate that we had for the old bracket. So my thinking is we'll leave all of these ears, the old tabs, we'll leave all those on and we'll put these guys up on the inside of those and we'll run the bar through all those holes and then we'll run a bar through all of the new pivot holes and then we'll just weld these guys onto the old pivot tabs. So then we don't have to go fussing around with trying to jig this thing and make all our pivots straight and whatnot. We're just gonna reuse kind of the old geometry a little bit. So the plan for today is get these guys welded up. We do need to trim back this hood plate because remember originally it was supposed to like scoop underneath the nose cone, which was a really stupid idea. So we'll cut that off and then bolt these guys up on the inside of the ear. Inside of there, it's early still. Bolt these guys up on the inside of there and weld them up, and then we got to figure out how we're gonna transfer that geometry onto the chassis side mounts, but that's a bridge we'll jump off when we come to it. So let's break out the welder and get this guy going. there's our bracket all welded up. I had the bright idea that I was gonna drill these holes and then plug welds so that I'd get weld along the very bottom of these brackets. But that hole's way too small for me to weld in with my skill set, so I just made an absolute mess of it. So now we just got some extra lightning holes. So the next step, we gotta put this guy onto the chassis side mounts. Now, because our old chassis mounts would go in between here, which is right where we welded these guys on, what I'm gonna do is actually cut half of those mounts off, and then we're just gonna shift over 1/8 of an inch and run this bar through all of our mounts together, and that should position this guy fairly solid. And then we'll cut some new mounts and weld those on. We might have to put the hood on, probably have to put the nose cone on just to make sure everything jives right with it. But yeah, we'll figure it out. So let's get this guy mounted on there and then cut some chassis side mounts. Okay, there's still clearly some fine tuning that has to happen. Doesn't work. So it looks really good. It looks like it should work, but it just doesn't quite work. I'm getting a little bit of interference here with the nose cone. Maybe we need to do a little bit more adjustment in there. I don't know. In all honesty, I just don't know. So I'm gonna leave that there again for the second time in a row and call it an episode. So sorry that we don't have a hood that opens and closes, but them's the breaks. So next week, maybe we'll keep going on this. Probably not, because I'm sick of it, but I did get some really cool parts in. So we'll probably move on to that, do something a little different, cool off a little bit, regroup, and then we'll tackle this again for the third time some other day. So in the meantime though, you guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Go check us out on Instagram, Left Foot First Media, and we'll see you next week. I'm out of here.